It's not very good.
I would definitely put it in the top 10.
So good.
It's kind of a mess.
A great work of cinema.
Train wreck.
Beyond a slasher, beyond a jump scare.
More thought has gone into the story.
Respecting the source material.
Extremely gory, extremely violent.
The lighting, the sets, the costuming.
Extremely scary.
Well staged, well shot, well acted.
I saw the comedy for what it is.
Relentless.
It was just really, really good.
This is pretty cool.
Another reason why I think it's
so good.
Silent breed is people!
Hello, 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 out there in YouTube and podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction films and those key elements that sometimes lift and or separate them from the average genre fare. Are you new to us? Well. David and I have been talking about movies since long before I can remember, and we decided one day that we were going to do it for the masses. So we decided, how would we do this? What's our format? Well, let's just talk about them all. So we picked the last 100 years from 1920 whatever to 2020 whatever, and we try to do a few from each decade every season. We do 40 episodes a year. And sometimes we do double features like we do today. And that's what we like to do, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes they're good, bad. Sometimes they're bad, good. Sometimes they're not good at all. And sometimes they're iconic. Those of you coming back, enjoy our rapport and are here for that very reason. I am with my co-host, David Horton. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I'm kind of excited. I think this will be an interesting one for us. I'm very curious to see what you think of either of the films we are going to cover today. But we normally start with what have we been doing in our spare time, and have we doing anything genre related? And I did something that was quasi-genre related in that it's fantastical. It's a film that came out in 2019 called Escape Room. And I think I mentioned to you offline that I wanted you to watch it because I'd really like to get your take on it. It's directed by an up-and-coming guy named Adam Robitel, Robitel. He also has done one of the Insidious movies, and he has a sequel to this movie coming out, and he has like 3 other possibilities coming from this whole Insidious escape room, asylum-y, whatever thing he's doing. It's a very interesting story. It's basically the storyline of it is you have 6 characters. They're each given this random invitation. They show up at this big high-rise, and they end up being thrust into an escape room series of rooms. Almost like, do you remember that movie that came out in like early 2000s? It might have come out in the 90s. Called The Cube, and it was...
I do. I don't think I've seen it, though.
People that were trapped, and they had to... Each room had a different set of clues and whatever, and they have to try to get out. It's that whole Saw mentality, too, without the gore. So that's what this is. And some of the rooms that they have to escape push credulity a little bit. They're kind of like... One is an entire, like, frozen floor underneath them that they have to get out of before it starts cracking and they fall into freezing water, which is supposedly on a high rise in downtown somewhere. So anyway, some of it pushes logic a bit, but some of the clues are really cool. Some of the stories really, and what's great about it, and I think you would like, is it's basically a character study. We're finding out about these 6 people, why they would ever have been called together in the first place to play this series of puzzles, and who's going to survive at the end of it. So it's nothing earth-shattering. It's not genre boundary pushing, but it was a really cool, fun ride. And it's called Escape Room. Adam Robitel. It came out in 2019, like I said. And it's got a good cast, strong cast, and some great effects. So
Interesting. I've never
that's
heard
what
of
I
it.
did in my spare day when I wasn't researching these two freaking movies we're covering today. So,
That's foreshadowing.
yeah.
Well, I did something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I finally got around to watching 28 Years Later.
Oh, I'm very curious now. What?
I'm pretty stoked for this. The reason I say that is because it's not the end. I alluded to it in a Coming to Get You we did a while back, that this is the beginning of a new trilogy of movies called Stone Temple. 28 Years Later, Stone Temple.
Really? I don't know that one. No.
Yeah, it's coming out in January. It's directed by the woman that did the modern Candyman, the remake of Candyman. But anyway, I'm going to talk about this movie. Finally got around to seeing it. I enjoyed it. It's been a while since the last movie, and it's evolved with passage of time, which is really cool. And I suspect a lot to do with Alex Garland being a very creative sci-fi writer. This one is the original team. Alex Garland and Danny Boyle are back. Danny's behind the camera, of course. The cast is great. It features a young boy named Alfie Williams who plays a major part in this film and will definitely return in the next,
Okay.
because they do have a mini cliffhanger thing. It's not really a cliffhanger, it's a tease. Aaron Taylor Johnson is also in this movie. We last saw him as Harding in Nosferatu, so you would recognize him when you see him. But the most memorable face in this movie is Ray Fiennes, and he's got a very memorable role in this movie.
Okay.
Very memorable mole. Sorry, my
Keep that
notes are.
blooper.
Maybe I should get new glasses.
He's a mole. Yes.
The synopsis is: a group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission to the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors as well. So it's got a little bit of it's not really a Planet of the Apes vibe, but it's one of those things where they live on this island and it's almost like a rite of passage to go to the mainland, because kids born on that island don't know what happened. So when they reach a certain age, the parents take them, or a male father figure takes a kid over there and they hunt with bow and arrows, because there are no
Okay.
guns or anything. Very cool. It gets 88% on Rotten Tomatoes with 391 reviews. I'm good with that. As I said, it's evolved so much that there's a new spin-off series of films that are set to be released in January, or the first one is, directed by Nia DaCosta. Both Williams and Fiennes are returning to be in this series of films, or at least the first one. And Alex Garland wrote it as well as this movie. So Boyle has already said he will direct the final of the next trilogy. So he's on board with it too.
So he's going to direct the one after the one that's coming out.
If it's a trilogy, it would be two after the one coming out. It would be there would be one in between.
So this one's not included in the trilogy. Is what
I
you're saying.
don't think so, because the
Okay.
new one's called 28 Years Later, Bone Temple, unless I'm just misreading it and it's all being lumped under the same franchise. So I don't know.
Okay.
But the Bone Temple is, well, you see, it's a bunch of skulls.
A bunch of skulls. Yeah.
And the Bone Temple is in this movie as well. There's a bunch of bone temples that Ray Fiennes makes them.
And these are the fast zombies, right?
They are. And now they're like naked and very skinny because they don't have clothes
hungry.
anymore. Yeah, yeah. And some of them have evolved into really sloth-like creatures that are really fat and slimy and slow. It's really cool. It's kind of like we've talked about Girl with All the Gifts and how they did different things with the whole virus scenario. And we've seen that movie I was talking to you about that I thought was a young adult movie. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. where they go down to Florida because it's been quarantined after an event, and there's like this zombie bear. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Not Divergent, Annihilation. That one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. With the where
Yeah.
they've got the wall, the shimmer wall.
Right. So you've got like movies like that and movies like Girl with All the Gifts where they just try to take zombie apocalypse things into different directions. It looks like 28 years later is doing that as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I was trying to make the connection because keys, we got to talk about connections.
We got to talk about connections. That's what we do.
Yeah,
So
that's what
yeah.
I did. So
Well, interesting. So
yeah, I don't know how you
I
got
went
to
to an
segue.
escape room, and you went to running from zombies in the open fields. So,
Yeah,
and the bone temples are the bone.
right.
Yeah.
Hive type creatures.
Oh yeah. Well, no, zombies aren't
No,
hives. I don't
not
think.
really.
That would be scary if they were. And I think World War Z, although I've never seen it, the clips from it look like they are, because the clips from it make them look like they are of a hive mind. But I don't think
Oh my
zombies
God. We have to cover World War Z because I'll have to hate watch that one again.
are. Yeah.
I was just trying to give you a segue.
So yeah, hives. We're going to talk. Zombies aren't hives, but we're going to talk about hives today and brain stuff in general, the mind and what can happen, and some fantastical stuff. We are covering two films today, and we will probably flip back and forth on them, which we tend to do in our double features. But we'll try to predominantly 60-40 focus on one and then focus on the other. We are starting with a film called Phase 4, which came out in 1974, and then we're going to follow that up with Pi, which came
Coconut
out
cream.
yeah. No, not the same. When did Pi come out? I don't have it in my notes, obviously.
I do. It came out in 1998.
98. Okay, so, and first of all, had you seen either of these movies before?
I have seen Phase 4. I had never
Uh-huh.
seen Pi.
Okay, so let's talk about Phase 4, rewatching it. What did you think about it the first time you saw it, and what do you think about it now?
I have seen Phase 4 multiple times. I have a connection with this movie. I really like it, and I have liked it my whole life. My big connection to it is it'll take a little explanation to some of our folks or some of our listeners out there that are younger than we are. Back in the day, before there was streaming platforms and before there was even cable, when we only had, if we were lucky, 3 to 5 television stations that we could watch things on. I used to stay up late at night on weekends because that was the easiest and most likely that I would catch a horror or science fiction movie.
Makes sense.
Because they would come on in the middle of the night when no one else was watching. And Phase 4 is one of those movies I used to see all the time late at night on television. So I like it for that reason, because of nostalgic reasons, obviously. But then I also like it because it's apocalyptic and it's got ants, which is great. I like everything about this movie, even the cheese factor.
Okay.
So,
For those of you who haven't watched it, please go watch both of these films before you listen to us, because we do spoil everything, and we'll talk about everything because we talk about connections and key elements of each. But a brief synopsis. So after some form of cosmic event that is briefly narrated over about, a group of different ant species in the Arizona desert start working together and doing some strange things. So a scientist goes out to study them. He brings another scientist with him, a younger scientist, and together they try to study what's happening with the ants, and it leads to an apocalyptic evolutionary telling of
it's a little
ant
ambiguous. Yeah.
Ant evolution, yes. This was directed by Saul Bass. This was his only directorial movie. If you don't know Saul Bass, look him up. He basically is a graphic artist who has done a great deal of title sequences, especially for Hitchcock, for the James Bond movies, for different films. And he has a singular look to this one that had a lot of studio flack, which we'll get to with production when we talk about production. My involvement with this movie is very similar to yours. I saw it first very late at night on some channel and didn't really understand it, but it reminded me of a few other movies that came out around the same time. One was called Bug, one was called The Hephaestus Plague, and one that I was huge on and waited forever and forever ever to find on VHS, never could. Finally found it on DVD, but it was called The Hellstrom Chronicle. And I loved it because of the photography, this intense macro focus of ants and bees and bugs and all of this. And it reminded me of if the lady in the birds who was in the restaurant who was talking about the birds, but there's over 470,000 species of birds.
Right.
Blah, blah. If they wanted to, they would take over the earth.
It's just like the Margaret Hamilton looking chick. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. If she was an entomologist, then she would be the one in Hellstrom Chronicles, the way it's done. It's done like a pseudo-documentary of how insects will one day take over the earth.
Yeah, don't you wish we could say, and now our guest, Bobby Brown, will be talking about bugs.
Yes, because he really was an entomologist.
An old friend of David and mine is an entomologist.
Yes.
That's funny.
But so I loved Hellstrom Chronicles. I thought it was great, and it was spooky, and it was really incredible photography. Turns out the same guy that filmed that is the cinematographer of this movie, which is why it has such incredible photography in places paired with Saul Bass's photography, which is not as good in places.
Well, which is weird too, because Saul Bass and Ken Middleton are like keys themselves because of other things they do and what they bring to this movie. So yeah, they're not only part of the production, they're part of the keys as well.
As soon as I hear Saul Bass, I think Psycho, Anatomy of a Murder, Man with a Golden Gun,
North by Northwest,
and all of these, turning these title sequences into entire experiences rather than it just being a crawl. Or remember when we covered King Kong and it looked like we were looking at pictures, like a playbill, and everything is written out and everything. So
I think the Phantom of the Opera may have been that way too.
Yeah, Phantom of the Opera was the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll get to people, but were there scenes that you liked in this?
Well, yeah, and before I do that, a little bit more on production.
Yeah.
I not only did Saul do the title sequences of those films we mentioned, he also did a lot of prominent logos for corporations. Did you know that? He did AT&T, he did United Airlines, and he also did Dixie, which all stick into my head. I could see them the minute I say them.
Yep.
The writer is Mayo Simon. He did Future World, which is not good.
Not good, no.
Marooned, which is a movie you have mentioned to me that I've never seen.
Which is good. It's very good.
Okay. And then he did Man from Atlantis, which I used to watch on television pre-Dallas.
Yeah, I think he wrote like 2 seasons of that. I think he wrote a lot
there
for
weren't
that
many,
series.
but I just remember that what's his face from Dallas, Patrick Duffy, is that his name? Patrick?
Yeah.
He
Webbed
was on
hands.
that. Yeah, he had webbed hands. And I just remember him from that show more than even Dallas, because it came out, I think, before Dallas. I'm sure before Dallas. But anyway,
if that series was being done today, they would call him Merman. But
or
because that's what he is.
Aquaman.
Aquaman, no. Well, Aquaman did have webbed hands, so that's true. Yes.
Okay. But anyway, as far as scenes, the first thing that comes to my mind is what we've already talked about. And it's anything Ken Middleton shot or Middleham shot. All the ant photography in this movie is the most memorable stuff you will see. It's phenomenal.
I have talked for decades about the funeral scene. That scene with no dialogue whatsoever, just with photography and some tonality music, not even a theme to it, but just tone music is so moving and emotional. And why haven't you watched it? Go watch it if you haven't. But anyway, To remind you, it's a scene after they've used the yellow spray and most of the ants have been killed. Obviously, some of them survived. And you have this long montage sequence where one ant at a time will take a piece of the yellow poison that they sprayed and drag it as far as he can until he dies. And then another ant will come up and grab the piece and drag it until he dies. And it gets all the way to the queen. She eats it and then starts laying eggs. And in the second attack, when they start doing it, suddenly they take all of their dead and put them in all of these rows underground. And you even have like a little mourning family over here, like mourning the dead. And I've always called it the funeral sequence. And it is so amazing.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned tonalities. Is there any music in this at all? It seems like it's all tonality. Like
there is a little bit of a theme that they play a couple of times in a motif with her. So it's with her when he first sees her, when he meets her and she's on the horse. And then later on when she's in the bed and he's being friends with her and everything. But it's mostly tonal all the way through.
And I like that a lot.
I did too. And I thought, and I think where he elicits not to use any sound is even better. At times, when suddenly you're used to hearing that alarm beep just be so repetitive and so monotonous that it's just in your head, and then suddenly it stops and you realize how quiet it is and everything. So I liked that. Another scene I really like is the scene where it's near the beginning too, and I had to go back and rewatch it again because I was going, am I right? It's when you're hearing the voiceover talk about and it's the dog. It's Nigel Davenport's character, right? Hubs or whatever.
Hubs is his name.
It's when he's talking about how different types of ants don't commingle. They don't work together. As a matter of fact, they're usually very adversarial and territorial to each other. Yada yada. And it's panning and showing these intense close-ups of these real ant faces, but they've got symbols on their foreheads. And if you look at it, it's not, they've got symbols, and he had to put those on the freaking ants. The ants didn't grow with those symbols on their foreheads. I was going, this is amazing photography. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is very, very cool. As far as other scenes, the scene where they discover the monolith, for lack of better words, the only thing I have to gripe about as far as like a cheese factor is all of a sudden he looks up and he's like startled to see it. And I'm like, you would see that from a long ways away. Y'all been walking that direction for a while.
And I don't think those things popped up overnight. I think they took a little while to build. Yeah.
No, that's Saul's fault right there. That was his fault.
And I like later on, I love the shot because when we first see them, even though he does close-ups, even some close-ups that you see and there are ants in the shadows on the inside of a cutaway. There's a cutaway at the top of these towers. I love later on when it cuts and it shows a different angle and they look like almost like the Easter Island guys. Like they're looking up, like their head is tilted up. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And naturally, as man would do, what's his next option? He blows them up.
He blows them up.
Yes.
And then there's another scene where there's a similar thing they do where they build this structure around the biodome or whatever you call that thing that the scientists are in, and it's like reflecting the sun and heating them up like in an oven.
Oh, yeah. I love
the
that
ants are going to cook them.
Yeah.
These are really smart ants, fault, by the way, if we didn't mention that.
Yeah, basically in story, whatever this cosmic event was, it has genetically evolved the ants. And the ants not only are a hive mind now, but they are intelligent and able to communicate. And part of the other scientist, Lesko, part of Lesko's job is trying to communicate with the ants. And he manages to pseudo do that through graphics that are weak at the time, but we go with it. The only other scene I have that is memorable to me really is Hubbs's death. I thought that was very unique, the way they did it. He's staggering out, suddenly falls into a pit. The pit is totally square, and yet it has geometric holes all the way down it, and ants just pour out of those holes down to consume him. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This movie's got a lot of things like that that I like. I can move on to cast because it's a small one.
Question before, did
Sure.
you watch the missing ending, the lost ending
I
that they
looked
found?
for it and I didn't find it, I don't think, but the version I saw on YouTube had pieces of it, I believe.
I will send you the link because someone
Okay.
actually filmed it at the LA premiere when they showed it.
Okay.
And I like it a lot better. And so while I bring that up just because we're still in production. So two big things about production. Saul Bass wanted this very 2001 ambiguous ending
Hmm.
where basically Lesko and the girl evolve.
They
The
become part of the
aliens,
ant
the ants
thing.
want both of them
Right.
to evolve. And he shows that and shows what life is like once the ants rebuild society in a very trippy, crazy photography
Very
way.
2001. 2001's a
Yes.
key, a
Yeah.
huge key. Yeah.
The studio did not like that. They didn't want it. So he had to tack on this narrated ending and only got to use like 10% of the footage he shot of that ending. And basically with Lesko saying, well, the ants are going to do something with us. We don't know what it is, but we'll just wait till they tell us. And that's basically it. And the studio also marketed this horribly. The poster is terrible and has literally nothing to do with the story of the ants. And it's just,
Oh,
they
you mean
wanted,
the fact that they're coming out of the hand, which
yeah,
does happen in one scene, but
it does happen, but
yeah.
the whole poster, like you've got it behind you, that poster is very much like Them or,
Hmm.
Bug-Eyed Monster 50s. And that's not
Yeah.
what this movie was at all.
No, it's not.
So
This is a very, I would say, cerebral almost
very,
movie. Yeah.
very much.
I was gonna, before we move on to the actors, I wanted to mention this writer who also did Future World, which is terrible, Marooned, which you say is okay, and Man from
Uh-huh.
Atlantis is pretty bad. And I'm like, this is a really high concept, cool sci-fi film for a guy that put out a bunch of schlock, I think.
Mm, yeah, Saul may have had some input on
But
screenplay as
Saul was
well,
known for doing credit sequences and Hitchcock thrillers, not really sci-fi.
but they had both done documentary type stuff before.
Okay.
So that helped a little bit. Also, this, from what research that I did, this came about because they were at a party, a big Hollywood party, and somebody asked the producer, "What are you working on now?" And he said, "Some story about ants, some story about smart ants." And that was his idea, but they didn't really have a story even about it. And so I think, I don't know how much was, because also this, technically, this is not a well-directed movie. The pacing is absolutely horrible in this movie.
That's what I was going to say. I like it also because it's apocalyptic and a slow burn, and and it is a real slow burn, folks. For folks out there that are looking for a very fast movie, this is not a fast movie at all.
No, and it's a very disjointed movie. Things don't work mood-wise. We go from, I'm going to do our first experiment with the two mantises and the ants. She comes in, breaks everything up, and suddenly we cut to later on at dinner. And it's just like, what happened in between all of that? Did anything happen?
Yeah.
And we suddenly get this really intense, we don't know what the ants are doing after the yellow and the funeral and all that. And we cut to ants are attacking the ranch
Right.
and we're burning the horse and all of this. And so it's just, it's
And
very
he doesn't even call it an insecticide. He calls it the yellow. And I'm
the
like,
yellow.
what's the yellow? It's like yellow water being sprayed everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
like,
And it seems like if you use the yellow first, you better have the blue ready for the
the
second
red.
attack.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
but and again, I think it suffers in this. It's got the typical tropes. It's got the pseudo mad scientist, the younger hero scientist, and then the love interest. And none of those happens. We
Not
never
really.
get we never get why the mad scientist is so obsessed and so into ants must be destroyed. I keep calling them aliens, they're not. Ants must be destroyed. We never get a love interest, naturally, because she's supposed to be a teenager, like 16 or 17.
Mhm.
And the younger scientist is just a cipher the entire time. He really never does anything for himself, really, other than go try to find her.
Right.
I expected a Quint moment where he like goes, he's going to go to the radio and suddenly Hubs comes in and smashes up the whole radio going, no, we'll be fine, Miss Brody. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You confused me for a second because I was thinking of Blair from The Thing, but same thing, same
Oh,
premise.
yeah. He's gone crazy and is doing his own thing.
Right.
So, but yeah. So,
Well, Hubs was played by Nigel Davenport. I don't know a lot about him, but he does have a bit of a Robert Shaw look. Now that you
mhm,
mention it, in
yeah.
that picture behind me, he looks a lot like Ray Fiennes, who I was talking about
Yeah.
earlier. His big movies were A Man for All Seasons and Chariots of Fire. He's a British
Great
actor.
in A Man for All Seasons. He was great in that movie.
I think he's
Yeah.
pretty damn good in this, actually.
Yeah. Well, he's also in Greystoke. He's the major in Greystoke, and I remembered him from that
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
But that's all I have on him. Michael, most of these guys are not really sci-fi or horror movie actors. So
No.
Michael Murphy in particular, he is known mainly for Manhattan and Nashville. But what I found out doing a little research is that he's a Robert Altman regular.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Countdown, A Cold Day at in the Park, MASH, Brewster McCloud, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Nashville, Kansas City, and two miniseries, Tanner and Tanner on Tanner. Tanner 88 and Tanner, which is that political miniseries that Robert Altman did in the 80s and then again in the 2000s.
Okay.
I don't know much else about Michael Murphy, though. I guess because he's in his own little cluster of actors with the
Yeah.
Altman gang.
He's in that little cadre. Yep.
Yeah. Now, Lynn Frederick is a different story. I didn't know anything about her. She is a British actress with a lot of
hmm
history. Did you read up on her?
Well, I knew she was married to Peter Sellers.
She was. She was
Um,
his fourth and final wife.
and I knew the production thing I read about her was she reminded me of The Shining and Wendy. Who played
Shelley
Wendy?
Duvall.
Shelley Duvall, and the fact that Kubrick abused her on set and everything else. Saul supposedly abused her on this set because he wanted her to get rid of that accent, and she still doesn't. There's still scenes that she
I can hear it.
slips,
Yeah.
and you can hear it. But they said that in production he rode her hard to, and did take after take after take after take because she couldn't lose her accent, the British
Well,
accent.
and there was also the fact that she was older than she's supposed to be playing. So they made her wear this like iron corset to like flatten her breast and make her
Yeah,
look more childlike. So yeah,
which I don't
probably
understand
not
why
a
they
good
did.
experience.
I don't understand why they did that in the first place. It would have been better to have her as a 20 something and have a pseudo love interest almost develop.
Agreed. Totally agree. Or just cast someone different and
Yeah,
someone
well,
younger.
and especially since they end up together at the end,
Right.
supposedly being the Adam and Eve of man, it was
Yeah.
just very odd.
She seemed to be one of those people that can't be single. She married David Frost 6 months after Peter Sellers died. Oh no, excuse me. 6 months after after Sellers' death, and then divorced him in 17 months. And I think she remarried again. She had like four kids. I think three of them were Sellers. I've got that she struggled with alcoholism and depression and died at 39. She died really young.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. But
She had to wear that corset to appear more flat chested. She was supposed to be 16 years old, and the director wanted to minimize her voluptuous figure. I
maybe
read,
cast a non-voluptuous person then.
maybe there
Although
was,
she's beautiful. Her
she is
face
beautiful.
is beautiful, and I love two or three of those, it's not scenes, but shots with the ant in the foreground and her face filling up the whole screen. A couple of those are so impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
She was encouraged to restrict her diet to coffee and chicken broth. I don't understand why. I guess they were trying to make her skinnier.
I guess.
I don't know. Someone else was considered to play this role. You want to take a guess?
I do not know.
It would have been a great role for her, especially at the time. Linda Blair.
Oh,
It was the year after The Exorcist. She would have still been pretty young. Her audition impressed Saul, and it led to several callbacks and a screen test. But the producers and directors decided she was too young and too expensive.
okay.
And I think that's a shame because I think Linda Blair would have probably been good in this role.
You
And
know
she's
who
not a
else
great
would have,
actress.
who else would have been good, but she would have probably been too old when this came out for it. No, she would have been about right. The girl from Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. What's her name?
Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She would have been interesting in this
Yeah, but
part,
she would have
too.
had a British accent, David.
Oh, yeah, she would. Saul would have hated her. He would lose it.
Anyway, that's what I have about Lynn Frederick. I did read somewhere, I don't think I have it in my notes, that she was kind of an it girl. They compared her to Kate Winslet. A modern,
makes
she was
sense.
like the Kate Winslet before Kate Winslet or whatever.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Who else? Alan Gifford plays Mr. Eldridge. Robert Henderson plays Cleet. None of these people you're going to really remember, except for Helen Horton, David's cousin,
Yeah, right.
played Mildred Eldridge. And I know her as David's cousin. She was regularly on the Benny Hill show, but she's also best known for voicing Mother, the computer in Alien.
Mm-hmm.
So she has one scene where he says, "Come on out here. I don't want to think I got you chained up back there."
And she also has the scene in the
grandparents.
truck. She has the scene in the truck.
Yeah, she freaks out, man. It makes him wreck because there's ants in the truck. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's ants in the truck. Come on.
There's ants.
Get out.
All right. As far as awards,
We've already seen a stop motion with our lap dissolve with the whole ant eating an entire hamster or something. So,
yeah. As far as awards, this was nominated for the Ivoriaz Fantastic Film Festival Grand Prize. I think I've mentioned the Ivoriaz before. It's one of those festivals that only lasted like 20 years and then evolved into something else. And it was a winner for their jury award. It's a European, I think it was in, I'm not sure if it's in Spain or France, but anyway, it's a European thing. And this movie is not on the 1001 movies you must see before you die list. And I get it because it's not a great movie. It's more of what I would call a cult movie, in my opinion. It's ripe for a remake. I think it would make a great remake.
That I would agree with. That's actually in my notes, is that with a stronger director, and especially with, although I don't think the photography would be as good now because they would CGI it rather than actually doing it.
It
And I think
depends
the
on how
photography
good the
is,
CGI is, but yeah.
the photography is so stellar in this.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as the macro photography, I do not think some of his choices, Saul's choices, were the best.
Yeah.
But, and then I've got, before we jump into keys, I've got, this has some great cinematography and some bad direction in places. So,
Yeah, because he's visual. He's not as much
Yeah.
of a director as far as story.
and also this had studio influence. He did not have final cut, so he didn't get to do the movie he wanted to do.
No.
Like we said about the ending.
It's an ending,
especially.
and I've got that in my trivia. It was a montage of surreal and haunting images that allude to the art of Salvador Dali and Rene Magritte. Most of this was cut, but it has been shown in special screenings since, and that's where you obviously found a copy of it somewhere.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good. I'll send you that.
And it's
link.
on the UK Blu-ray too.
Overall, this was a bad year for science fiction. The only two noteworthy science fiction movies that came out in '74 were Terminal Man, which is not a great movie, and Zardoz, which is definitely not a good movie.
Sean
But
Connery
both-
in a diaper.
But all of them kind of share this heavily influenced by late 60s, early 70s trippy science fiction storytelling that was happening then, of how do we, even down to like A Boy and His Dog and everything else, they had that weird look at changing humanity, I guess is a way of putting it. Anything else? I don't have anything else in my watch notes.
I've got a ton of keys.
Let's go. Do keys.
Well, we already mentioned 2001, mainly for the cinematography, I would say, and the ambiguous weirdness of it.
Yeah.
H.G. Wells' Empire of the Ants.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Not the movie, the novel that came out
Yeah.
in like 1905 or 6 or whenever that came out. That's the one that supposedly they got the inspiration from for this movie.
Well, and that's why I said H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just say that because there was an Empire of the Ants in like the late 70s, early 80s.
Isn't that Joan
Terrible.
Collins?
I think so.
I think
I
it
think
is. Another
really
British
bad.
actress.
Yeah.
You want to keep going?
I've got War of the Worlds just
Oh,
because of the opening and closing narrations that form it. Sets us in this narrative thing very similar to the way, again, H.G. Wells did it in the movie of this, because we have this voiceover that Lesko does at the beginning, and then he also ties it back in at the end with
yeah.
where do we go from here with this evolution. So that was my War of the Worlds thing.
I've got a note here. I don't know if this is really a key, but it says science fiction writer Barry Malzberg wrote
Hmm.
a novel based on Simon's original screenplay. And as a result, the ending of the novel differs from the film. So, yeah, that would be a key because it's a
Yeah.
novel inspired by the film, but apparently it had a different ending.
I mentioned my other ones like Hephaestus Plague and Hellstrom Chronicle, Bug, all three of those. I've also got and we mentioned 2001 because Saul has even said he was deeply influenced by 2001, and that's the way he wanted to end this one. I
That
think.
picture behind me with the ants lined up, the three of
Hmm.
them, that looks like something out of 2001
Yeah, yeah.
with the pyramid
Um,
behind them. Yeah.
I've got Star Trek the Motion Picture because of the way this ends. It ends without stating it. He says it, and if you watch the Lost ending, they do it because in his montage at the end, he has like her face and his face, and they like blend together, and then they mutate and glow and turn into this. And so it's a very V'ger loving Commander Decker ending
And
feel to it.
yeah, it's funny that we did that earlier this season. It's weird
Yeah.
how movies end up in the same seasons with loose connections too. Strange.
Yeah, that's another, that would be one.
Yeah. I have The Thing because it's claustrophobic in that little biosphere thing they're in. It's more of a geosphere. It's like it's geometric maybe. What
Yeah.
what would you call that thing? It's I don't know. I've got Hitchcock, obviously. There's influence there because of Saul. You mentioned Hellstrom. Oh, I've got the Andromeda Strain because look behind me. I mean,
Yeah.
that
looks
imagery is
exactly
right out
like
of the Andromeda Strain.
Exactly.
And it's only what, 3 years later. So,
Yep.
um,
I've got Jaws just because well, going back, first of all, you said the thing because of the claustrophobia too. That's another thing that works and doesn't work in this. He goes from these macro intense close-ups of these ants to these close-ups of a human face, and it's like very jarring in the way we see spatial things. So it was
but
very
that's how
interesting.
ants see us.
Yeah.
Giant face.
Well, and if we wanted to key maybe the fly too, because he also has the prism look in this, where the ants are looking up and you see all the faceted
Oh yeah,
look
yeah.
at them. But I have Jaws, which I mentioned, just because the Nigel's character reminds me a lot of a Quint character, and Lesko comes off as the Roy Scheider. No, we're not doing the right thing. This is what we need to do. So there's a little bit of that.
I have Forbidden Planet because of the
Hmm?
tonal stuff,
Oh yeah, music wise, yeah,
music wise.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
And I have Altered States because of the weirdness at the end, especially with her coming up out of the sand.
Yep.
You know,
Very
there's,
much. That's a good one. Yep.
yeah, it reminded me of Altered States.
I've got, and last ones I've got are the typical ones that come from like this whole bug-eyed monster that they wanted this to be, I think was their inspiration, the studio. Them, Tarantula, even Naked Jungle, which isn't giant bugs, it's mostly ants attacking everything.
Hmm.
But I think that's what they wanted. They wanted this to be a scary movie, not a cerebral
Well,
elevation
in the
movie.
Naked Jungle, they were seemingly intelligent the way they were like
Yeah, but ants
manipulating.
are anyway. They'll build
Right.
bridges across water.
But I'm
That's
talking
what
about the
they
way they were
do.
choreographing, like attacking and stuff.
Yeah,
A
true,
human. But yeah, and
true.
they never really explained why the one ant bite was poisonous enough to make his arm swell up like that. That's weird.
They didn't explain a lot of that because even later on, Lesko is bitten several times in
And
this
he
whole
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't happen to him.
journey across the desert. Nothing happens to him.
Of course, he
They
could be the
also,
chosen one.
we also didn't know, is the green-bellied ant, is there only one? Are there more than one of that? We couldn't tell.
Yeah.
We started to, and I think that's where it's really weird in the way they put this screenplay together, because basically Lesko is us at the beginning saying, hey, why am I out here and what's the point and what's happening? And it's the Hubs character that's trying to say, this is the way ants normally function, and this is what happens, and this is what we do, and da 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 da. But we don't get enough of that, and suddenly we're into the first. They blow up the Jeep, and it's time to be attacked, and we're
Right.
going to grenade the towers. So yeah,
But that's all I have as far as keys for that one. And I mean,
those
we can
are
sum it up, I guess, when we get past the
yeah.
second one.
So now we're jumping to 1998,
Mhm.
and the first film by Darren Aronofsky, who has gone on to do lots of films. This was his not only his directorial debut, but he also wrote this particular movie. It is called Pi. And a brief synopsis, if stand by, I've got it in my notes. I need to find it real quick. But basically, you have almost a single focus movie. It spends so much time with Max in this entire movie, but you basically have a mathematician who is obsessed with finding this key number that he thinks will unlock the entire universe. He sees patterns in everything, and he sees patterns in math, and he thinks math is this primal language that defies physics, defies nature, everything, and he'll be able to find out the entire backbone of nature if he can just find this one number. He is prompted by a mentor that he goes and sees several times, who was also obsessed with the same quest early on, but ended up having a stroke. He's also hounded and hunted by two factions. One's a big corporation, which has realized that Max's formulas, just the way he started to put them together now, can somewhat predict the stock market. So naturally, they want in on that gravy train. And a group of very militant Hasidic Jews who think that he can transcribe the Torah into literally the name of God, that this math formula will give them the name of God, which will, of course, elevate them into godhood themselves, I guess, with God. And had you seen this movie before?
Nope.
And so this was the first time you watched it?
It was.
And what
I
are your
am not
thoughts?
a Darren Aronofsky fan. I did not like this movie at all.
Okay. Uh, say why. Give us the
um,
whys.
I think it's erratic. It's a little indulgent. It reminded me of a student film,
Mm,
and
hmm
I'm not a math person. I am assuming the connection to this movie is math because, as far as a double feature, the only thing in common with the two is that he does start talking to the ants with math, which is a universal language, and
Uh-huh.
math is a universal language in this movie. Is that the connection? Or
Well, and also the connection being both of these movies are heady, high cerebral
okay,
things that most people don't like and most people wouldn't get or
yeah,
enjoy. And it was, for me, it was exactly like you. I really liked Phase 4. I remember it as a kid. I really loved the funeral scene. I love the ant photography, da da da. I remember Pi and going, what the hell? This is like one step above Eraserhead
it
for
is.
me.
It really is.
Um,
It is. That's a huge key because I was like watching it, going, I don't like this. This is boring, and I just
and
don't like
both
it.
of these movies make a lot of science fiction fans' lists. Pi, especially Pi and Primer, or Primer, depending on how you want to pronounce it, are two that almost always show up on people's like top 100 sci-fi movies of all time. And I don't think that this movie belongs in that category. I do think he is very, very good in this movie. I think the lead actor is very strong, and especially having to do the things that he has to do in this movie.
And that's Sean, the guy that also wrote it with Darren. Sean
Yes.
Goulet.
Yeah. But some of the photography with him and some of the things he's having to deal with and he has this pseudo Tesla look to me. He reminds me of like of a smart person, I guess is a better way of saying it. The cliche genius, mad genius. And he does a really good job, but I agree with you. The only good thing, two good things I do like about this movie. I do like the black and white. And I like the very high contrast black and white. It's very grainy. It's very
Polanski.
Yeah, Roman Polanski is a great key.
Yeah.
Annoying almost. It's so graphic, so grainy and gritty at times. And I do like the tonality and lack of tonality in this movie a lot. I like when the cluster headaches are coming or whatever, the migraines, we can tell. And that high pitch sort of starts, and it bothers us as much as it's bothering Max. And other times
that's a good connection to Phase 4 too, with the
the tonality of the music score.
Well, there are noises in Phase 4 that get on your nerves too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so I like the audio mix in this a lot. The pain music works for me, like the migraine music, the tones, and also when he gets into some of the excitement and they actually play like some rock music feel to it. I thought that was interesting. But you can definitely tell this looks like a student project, and based on production, it was made for like 60 grand. Aronofsky is proud to say several times since then that they got no permits whatsoever to shoot anything for this movie.
They did. I've got that in my background notes that the subway scenes were legally filmed to save $18,000 a night.
Yeah. And it was guerrilla filmmaking all around, from what I understand. Everything was basically shoot and go,
they had a
shoot and go.
crewman. Oh, hang on. Sorry. They had a crewman specifically there to look for cops.
Yeah, right.
So that they could film and not have to pay anybody.
And that's what we used to do when we were shooting our shorts and stuff like that. And
Actually,
suddenly
the cops used to be a part of ours.
Roll up. Yeah. The cops roll up and we go, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?"
Yeah. No. And then we would film them driving off and just figure out a way to work it in. Yeah. That's funny.
But I think I do like I do not like Aronofsky as a filmmaker, but I do like some of his cinematography, and I like some of his shot structure, and I like the way he does stuff. I love a lot of the mirror stuff is really cool, and the way he does it.
I like the movie Black Swan from what I remember, but I don't know that I've seen anything else he's ever directed, honestly.
I just don't think I think this movie has a better ending than Phase 4, as far as it's definitely got an ending, and the ending, you sense it or whatever.
Remind me, because I don't remember it.
It ends with him taking the drill to his head.
Oh.
And then it cuts to the girl asking him to solve the mathematic things, and he can't. And he has her answer him.
Okay.
There are people that, if you go online and look at reviews of this and everything else, there are a lot of people that read into it of destructive genius is what they call it, and this fact that he ends up destroying what could have been, both he and his mentor end up suffering for their genius. The mentor has a stroke and actually dies, has a second stroke, and he puts a drill through his skull and ends up, now he'll never know the number or figure out the number or anything.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I
I don't, and part of it may be I'm not a math and science guy. I was never a math person. So that immediately made me go, tune out.
And I think that's a good statement for this,
Yeah.
because if you don't at least grasp this fact of math being finite and math being able to solve things in
Languages.
just
Yeah.
sequences and everything else, the fact that language is math itself in a way, then if you're not grasping that, then you're not going to appreciate this film in general at all.
Mm-mm.
Because I do think the mysticism at the end is a throw in too, of this whole, we have to have this entire scene with the rabbis saying, this is how the Talmud happened, and this is the
Well,
names
and
of
we'll get
God and all
into
of
it
that.
when we get to keys because there a lot of the keys are either math related or religion related.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do cast really quick,
Sure.
unless you had a scene you wanted to talk about.
No, no, no. Go.
Okay. Sean Gillette, or I'm saying Julette, it's Gullette, played Maximilian Cohen. He also co-wrote this with Aronofsky and Eric Watson. They are both frequent collaborators with Aronofsky.
Hmm.
So again, it may not have been a student film, but it was a bunch of guys that got together and made a really cheap movie that took off. Mark Mogolis is in this. He is the guy behind me that looks very familiar. He's no longer with us, but I know him from Breaking Bad. He played Tio Hector Salamanca.
Hmm.
He is a member of the Actors Studio. He trained from Stella Adler and later Lee Strasberg. So when you see him, there's a presence there that
Oh,
is
yeah.
quite obvious because he came from a very strong acting school. He played Saul Robeson. Ben Shinkman, I recognized him as well. I think he's Hasidic, the Jewish guy that's always like yelling at him from far away.
Yeah.
I recognized from Angels in America. He was in that. Pamela Hart plays Marcy Dawson. She's like the corporate woman that's always trying to get in touch with him. She's kind of
Hmm.
like one of those telemarketers you can't shake, except she's in person,
Yeah.
basically. Stephen Perlman played Rabbi Cohen. He had a really long beard. And then I found this interesting. The neighbors that play the couple that are the parents of the kid that likes to talk to him because he can solve math
Hmm.
problems really fast.
Hmm.
They were played. The couple's names were Devi and Farouk. And
Yeah.
Devi is played by Samaya Shoaib, if I'm saying that right. And she and the guy that plays Farouk, AJ Nadu, both appeared in Richard Linklater's Suburbia in 1996. Now, that's a
Wow.
movie I have mentioned to you before because it's the first time I ever saw Steve Zahn and Giovanni Ribisi. They are both in
Oh,
that
okay.
movie. But they play a couple who own the gas station store in that movie. So I don't know if he lifted them from 2 years prior in that movie and said, I want you to play a couple in my movie too. But
Right.
I think it's ironic that they're in it. They're both. She, I think, is definitely of Indian descent. He looks Indian, and then their child, of course, is as well. And the
Yeah.
kid is played by Krista Mayan Lau. Her name is Jenna. But that's really all I have as far as the cast. It has a shit ton of nominations and wins across the indie circuit, but really nothing that we would talk about. That I don't even think I have anything from the Saturn Awards. However, this movie is on the 1001 movies you must
Mhm.
see before you die list. So like you said, a lot of people like this movie, even though I don't. So
Well, like I said,
there you go.
it's in a lot of people's top 100 list of sci-fi films, and I totally disagree with that.
It's
But
not very sci-fi,
well, if you consider the pursuit of math to higher evolution
I
science
guess.
fiction, yes.
Yeah.
And it falls into a good segue to Keys. It falls into a subgenre of science fiction called pattern movies, which we actually covered one earlier. Donnie Darko is a pattern movie where things are happening according to particular laws that we were unaware of and now we're finding out about.
Right.
So this math number that's there, that supposedly they didn't make that up. Supposedly in the Talmud or whatever, there is a 216 character number that will bring on the Messianic age and create Jewish heaven, I guess, from what I understand. But so these pattern movies, and those are like keys, like Donnie Darko is one, Minority Report, where the symbiotes use math in order to predict the future. And when the future is, even though if it's future crime, then it's still future crime. Knowing is that Nicolas Cage one, which is also a pattern movie where he has the whole numbers and he figures it all out and it predicts plane crashes and deaths and wars and all of that. And he's doing it through math. So again, sci-fi subgenre.
Okay. I've got like math subgenre or science subgenre, the chaos theories, the golden ratio, which are both like searching for order in the universe, numerology, and then you go over into religion. You've got Kabbalah, Torah, Quran. All of that stuff is hit upon or insinuated in this movie.
Fibonacci.
Especially Kabbalah, because it's a little out there.
Yeah.
But that's what I had as far as those. We've already mentioned David Lynch and Eraserhead. This movie just feels like a David Lynch movie to me.
Yeah, this would be partnered. This could easily be partnered with Eraserhead.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just in the feel of it. They're both black and white. They're both a single person story. They're both this bizarre, weird stuff is happening to this character.
Yeah.
And he's losing his frickin' marbles. So, yeah.
I've got the Twilight Zone because it reminds me of like a Twilight Zone episode concept, only expanded.
Oh, yeah. Might be interesting if you pared it down to half an hour and done it that way. That would be interesting. I've got one that we covered earlier, Possum. Just because of this, you've got this hero and this mentor figure that we don't know if we trust or not and what's going to happen. And he keeps seeing things that everybody else is not seeing, although his is, I'm having these migraines that are driving me to scream and destroy my entire apartment. And the other guy is seeing a puppet spider clown thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I see the connection. I have The Omen.
Ooh, interesting.
Because of the 666 numerology.
Yeah.
Instead of finding divine, they're finding the Antichrist. But
yeah, 216. Yeah.
I've got some I lifted also from IMDb. One is called Tetsuo the Iron Man. Have you ever seen that?
I have not. I've heard the name.
But you know what it is, right?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know. It's a sci-fi movie. It's Japanese, I believe. Also, Sin City and A Clockwork Orange were inspirations. Well, Sin City would have been after this, but probably because of the black and white imagery. But Clockwork Orange, Aronofsky said himself he lifted visuals from A Clockwork Orange.
I could easily see that. Yeah. Even down to some of the mix of music and tones that he uses. Yep, I could see that.
Anything else?
Let me check. I do not think I have any more keys. I put down Basket Case, but it's not really an influence on this. It just reminded me of it.
That movie makes me much happier than this movie did.
Well, and it's a good closer because I found this one review online, and it's only like 2 sentences, but I got it just for you. It says, "Sorry, but this film is juvenile drivel. It's film school tripe of the highest order. Terrible acting, terrible dialogue, terrible cinematography, terrible pacing, terrible score. It's not smart. It's mysticism for pseudo-intellectuals who were taught about pi and Fibonacci in school. Just forget it."
Yeah, back to the whole student film or first film or whatever. I can think of other black and white ones that I enjoy, and Basket Case is not in black and white, but Clerks is.
Yeah.
And it came out around the same time, and it's a thoroughly entertaining movie to me, and I just don't find this that entertaining.
Well, Evil Dead is a first movie.
Yeah, yeah,
You
it
know, I
is.
mean, come on. So there are people that right out of the gate can do it,
It hit it out of
sort
the
of thing.
park. Yeah.
And again, it's sad because we talked about, is Phase 4 prime for a remake? Yes. This one might be too, with some grafting. I think you would need to give it more subtext than just him trying to find the number. There has to
A
be more
beautiful
to it.
mind.
Yeah, yeah, a beautiful mind. We didn't say that, but that's a guy who goes crazy with numbers.
Right.
That's a
You're right.
perfect
It
movie.
just occurred to me.
You're so good. That's great. Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's going to do it for this double feature.
Yeah.
Unless you had anything else to say about pi.
I got
And
nothing else to say to you about it. Nothing.
If you spout off a math theorem, I'm going to slam you.
No, no math from me. You will never get math from me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's what we think. David and I are both fans of Phase 4, mainly because of
Yeah.
for nostalgic reasons, as well as 70s sci-fi. Not so much with Pi, late 90s Darren Aronofsky debut. And certainly he's not hurting. He's still directing movies. So,
Oh, yeah.
but if you disagree with us or agree with us, we'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please give us a thumbs up and or a rating on a place like Apple or somewhere where it might help us. If you like what you heard today and you want more, we have some shorter shows on YouTube only, because this show is also a podcast. It's on the podcast airwaves. Or if you'd like to see what we have about some TV subjects, you can hop on over to Patreon, where we have tons of bonus material. Some of it is subscription based, some of it is absolutely free. However, if you are interested in some subscription based content over there, we've got shows on the X-Files and on the original Star Trek, episode by episode dissections. And
Dissections.
yeah, until next time, when I think we're going back into the horror world, are we?
I certainly hope so.
No, well, it's actually the thriller world.
Ooh, okay, cool.
It's a thriller. Yeah, it'll be fun. I will see you
All
then.
right. See you then.
All right, take care, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
You can't start the car. Johnny has